Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released major app updates to its creative apps on iPad, iPhone, and Mac. So I thought I'd go over that as it's something I don't typically cover, but thought I'd try something new. Now the first major change or update is to iMovie. Apple announced iMovie version 3.0 at the recent March Apple event when they introduced the iPad Air 5 and said, or 5th generation, and said that they would have a new version that takes advantage of the A15 Bionic, its additional RAM and capabilities, as well as its neural engine. And so today they've released this version. You can download it in the App Store for free, and you can see it here. There's quite a few different changes, and let's go over the major ones. The first time you open up iMovie after installing it, you'll see that it has three different things that are new: Magic Movie, Storyboards, and Timeline. A Magic Movie says select a group of photos or videos and instantly create a polished Magic Movie with titles, transitions, and music. So I'll show you that in a moment. We also have Storyboards, which could be very helpful for quite a few people that are not typically those that edit videos. And it says choose from a variety of storyboards like cooking, product review, and science experiment to help you create popular types of videos and trailers. We also have timeline improvements, where it says edit your movie in a timeline project for the most customization and control. So let me go ahead and open it up so I can show you what it looks like. So it looks like typical iMovie the first time you open it on your iPad. They've also updated the same things on the Mac, but if you slide up from the bottom, you'll see it says Magic Movie, Storyboard, or Movie. Movie is what we had before, but if we make a Magic Movie, I've already put one together with a few different clips. We'll go into it, tap on Edit, and let me bring the brightness down, as this was actually recorded in HDR. You won't be able to see it in SDR that I'm recording this video in, but we have 4 different clips that I just imported and said create a movie for me. So it did that. It put it to music, and let me go ahead and play it for you quickly here. We'll expand it, and this shows you what it looks like. So it took the footage, put it together. Give it just a moment here. It's not very long. You'll see here it's just a few different clips I recorded outside at some point for different videos, and you'll see it's cycling through them, and it put it to music as well. Now, none of these have really anything to do with one another, but it was very easy to do. I just took 4 different clips, dropped them in here, and it created it for me. So that's a Magic Movie, similar to what you get in the Photos app if you want to create sort of a memory with that. We also have the best thing probably is Storyboard. So under Storyboard, you have a bunch of different categories. You have about and celebration and how it works and so on. So maybe you want to create something about how it works. Go into how it works. We have a bunch of different options, and there's 20 different storyboard options and then different styles within each one of those. So maybe we'll select Studio. We can then change the music, add or delete it, change the font, change the color, or put a filter on it. Once we select what we're happy with, we hit create, and now we have an entire sort of outline of what we need to do to import to create this video. From a reference shot to another reference shot, a close-up of what we're talking about, a close-up of something else that we're talking about, and so on, all the way through the entire timeline. So it allows us to create this based on what it would think is best, and then of course you can add to this as well. So if you want to add additional things and then create your video, it helps you lay those out, whether it be a product review, a how-to video, or more. So it's a really nice way to do that. There's also improvements to the movie timeline. So I have a movie here. If we go to edit again, you'll see we have the movie. There's improvements to the timeline and bug fixes and more. Now, some of these features require the latest iPad mini, the latest iPhone 13, 13 Pro and newer, iPad Pro 11-inch, or iPad Pro 12.9-inch 3rd gen or newer. And you can also export these into a Final Cut timeline as well. So you can do that directly onto a Mac if you're using a Mac. Now, along with this, Apple also updated Final Cut. So let's switch to that. Today, Apple updated Final Cut Pro to version 10.6.2. Now, if you're not seeing the update under your App Store and then the updates, you can just go into the App Store, type Final Cut Pro, and you'll see it here. Click on Final Cut Pro, and the word open here at the top should switch to update, and then you can update. You'll see version 10.6.2 here. Now let's go ahead and open it up. Now this is a free update if you already own Final Cut Pro. If you don't, you'll get the latest update once you purchase it and install it. So we'll close the App Store, and let's go into Final Cut Pro. And the first time you open it, you'll see the three major changes. And you can see here, the first thing is duplicate clip detection. Quickly locate media that appears more than once in a project using highlighted clip ranges or the timeline index. So what I've done here is I've actually copied this clip and then put it at the end. So if we go to the end of the timeline, I put it here. And if we want to see duplicate clips within our different timeline, all we need to do is click this little button here and you'll see duplicate ranges. So duplication ranges or duplicated ranges here should show up and they'll have little lines through them here, as you can see. So you'll see the lines there and then back here where there's something that's duplicated. So that's something they've updated. But the next one is pretty major. I think if you have macOS Monterey, it requires it, and it's voice isolation. So you'll see now, if you go over to your inspector, you'll see here we have voice isolation. So if you're outside, it will isolate your voice using the neural engine and machine learning. So you'll see here we can actually isolate it. Now, I haven't tried this in a very noisy environment, but it seems to work very simple or very easily in the environment that I'm in here. But I do have an office with sound panels, so it's pretty isolated to begin with. But you now have this built in and you won't need additional plugins. Thirdly, you also have optimized versions for Mac Studio. So if you have a Mac Studio with an M1 Max or M1 Ultra, like I'm using here, you'll see under About This Mac, this is an M1 Ultra. It definitely was not taking advantage of everything it had to offer. Now it seems much, much faster. So let's close this. And now as I skim through the timeline, you'll see it's just incredibly fast and I'm in high quality as well. So I'm under better quality and it's just super fast, whether I'm going through different titles or anything or just playing back. Let me make sure I'm muted here. We'll just play back and you can see these pop up here and it's just playing nice and smoothly, even as I'm recording this video using ScreenFlow. So it's very, very nice that way. Now there's some additional updates as well. Small ones where you can import the Magic Movie and storyboard projects with iMovie or created in iMovie. It also adds Korean language support and includes stability improvements and bug fixes. So if it was unstable for you before, hopefully this fixes it. I did have some issues on my Mac Studio before, so hopefully this will improve, but I'll only know by using it over the next few days. Now, additionally, we have some updates to Compressor and Motion as well. So the same thing is true. I won't go into all of the details, but we get similar optimizations if you have an M1 Studio or a Mac Studio. You'll see here that if we go into the version notes, you'll see we have used the new sliced scale filter to divide an image into slices to prevent distortion when scaling. And then again, we have the same three updates we get with Final Cut. Optimized playback and graphic performance for the M1 Max and M1 Ultra on the new Mac Studio, Korean language support, and stability improvements and bug fixes. We also get, and that's version 5.6.1 that Motion was updated to. Compressor also gets an update. If we go into Compressor, you'll see we have some updates as well. So view a video's transparency, the aspect ratio of an output, and modified source media properties in the preview viewer. Also rotate and flip video files using the new video properties and settings. So that, along with the optimizations I mentioned before. All of these require macOS Monterey version 12.3 or later. So you'll see that here is updated, and that's great if you use Compressor. I'm sure you'll be familiar with that. And again, you can update it right now. Additionally, I wanted to share that there's some major updates with Pixelmator Pro. Pixelmator Pro, if you're not familiar with that, is basically a replacement for most of what Adobe Photoshop does. It doesn't do everything, but it's something I've been using for years and I'm very familiar with. They updated it today to version 2.4 Odesa. And you'll see here, this is a brief overview and I'll expand it in a moment, but it says it brings a completely redesigned layers sidebar, colors adjustments and effects layers, over 200 beautiful new vector shapes, and support for the M1 Ultra and more. If I click on more, you can see there are a ton of different updates in this particular version. So you'll see for M1 Ultra, it says tasks like automatic background removal, super resolution, and photo enhancement are up to 1.7 times faster on the M1 Ultra compared to the M1 Max. So if we open up Pixelmator Pro, let's click on it here. If you're familiar with this particular app, you'll see that the layers bar has changed here on the side. If we zoom in or out, or maybe we go to image and then ML super resolution, Give it just a moment here to process, and it's done. That's incredibly fast and definitely faster than it was processing before. So they've updated this with a lot of different changes and features, as well as new vector shapes and more. So it's great to see them updating. It's free if you already have Pixelmator Pro. Now, in addition to the other creative apps that I mentioned on the Mac, Apple also updated its iWork suite of apps on the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Now, I've mentioned this before, but thought it was significant enough since if you use VoiceOver, this could be extremely helpful. And you can see the different updates here, but you'll see the last update, it says read comments and track changes using VoiceOver if you're using Pages. So there's a few different updates here. And then also with numbers in Keynote, the same thing. So create formulas and quickly fill cells with autofill using VoiceOver. And then Keynote gets some enhancements as well. And on the Mac side, you can use it with shortcuts. So you can use Keynote, numbers, and Pages with shortcuts. They've also updated the app icons to match what we have on the Mac. So all of those things have been updated today, and last week they updated the iWork suite of apps. Now also we're waiting for new versions of iOS. iOS 15.4.2 may be something that we see now that Apple has stopped signing iOS 15.4. That means you can no longer downgrade to iOS 15.4, leaving only iOS 15.4.1 and iOS 15.5 betas. So we could see something like that very soon, within a week or two, or maybe we won't see it at all and Apple will just wait for iOS 15.5. Currently, we have iOS 15.5 beta 1 and iOS 15.5 beta 2. Usually when we go from beta 1 to 2 to 3, there is usually a 2-week gap. So we may not see anything until next week. However, Apple's been releasing a lot of updates, so of course this could change. They could push something out more rapidly than they have in the past. So all of those things are coming very soon, of course, with iOS 16 in June with WWDC and more. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these sort of app updates when there's major changes and features. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And of course, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.